Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you're creating a regulation seam is you want to make sure that you're pinning your right sides together, okay? If you're looking at this fabric, does it look like it has a right or a wrong side? No, it looks the same, right? When you guys are working with your pajama pants, you're gonna have a distinct right side, or kind of like the pretty side, that would be the side that shows on the outside. And then the wrong side's probably gonna be just kind of like a white, and we consider that the wrong side, okay? So what I'm going to have us do to simulate that we're doing this correctly is I'd like you to first just put an R to determine which side is your right side, okay? So this would be like the pretty side, okay? Once you've done that, the first step of your directions is going to tell you that you need to pin the right sides together, okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to be sewing along the longer side to create our regulation seam. So I'm going to lay those right sides together just like so, okay? The big thing here is you want to match your raw edges, okay? So if I just plop this on here and I pinned them together, do we think we're going to have an even seam? No, we're not. So we really need to make sure that we lay them right on top of each other and our raw edges are even. Once you've done that, you're going to use your straight pins, okay? So what you do with these straight pins is they need to be pinned perpendicular to the edge of the fabric. So what I do is I double check that this is nice and even. I come about like 1.5 inches in, and I'm going to puncture it down, and then I'm going to come back up. What that will do is it'll hold my two raw edges together so that when I sew through the machine, it stays nice and even. So I'm just going to continue that all the way down, okay? You'll kind of get in the groove with pinning. It might seem a little awkward at first, but we're going to do it so often in this class that you'll kind of get the hang of it. So once I've pinned that all the way down, double checking my raw edges are even, I can start my seam allowance, okay? The next thing that you're going to do, you can pause it for a second. Ready? So once you've pinned your fabric and you make sure that your raw edges are even, the next thing you're gonna do is double check that your machine settings are correct. The nice thing with the Genomes is that if we hit number 1, we know our stitch length, our stitch width are all going to be correct, okay? So I'm all good to go. I have my setting for my stitch length on 2.2. It's already manually set, so it's good to go. Next, some of you will notice there's a piece of tape on your machine. You want to double check that that's along the 5/8 inch line on your slide plate, okay? Some of you will have to move that when you put your bobbin in, but you want to make sure that now when you're sewing it, it's going to be a perfect guide so you have a nice straight stitch, okay? So I'm going to lift that presser foot up, and I'm going to put it under the presser foot just about 1/2 inch in, okay? My raw edges right here are in line with that tape. What's the measurement of that tape? 5/8, very good. So if I keep it straight and I go along the edge of that tape, I'm going to have a perfect 5/8 inch seam. Do you think we can sew over our pins? No, we don't want to break that needle, so you need to remove them as you go. Can anybody tell me what you think you have to do at the beginning and end of each seam? Back stitch. Very good. We got to reverse to secure that seam. So make sure your machine's on the slow setting because we're going for accuracy, not speed. And the first thing you're going to do, so my guide hands are up, my foot's on the foot pedal, and I'm just going to come forward. Okay? Now I need to back stitch. So I'm going to hold down the back stitch button, and I'm going to take it to the edge of the fabric. See how the machine just takes it nice and through? I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to keep coming. Where my eyes are looking is so that the raw edge of the fabric is in line with the tape, okay? If I'm keeping that nice and straight, I'm going to have a very consistent seam. So take out your pins as you go. I usually just take my foot off the presser foot, especially if we're just beginning to sew. That's good practice. But my guide hands, the machine's really just kind of taking it, and my hands are just there to guide it in case it moves out of the way. So I'm removing the pins as I go. My eyes are looking right here, and my guide hands are just making sure it's staying straight. You don't have to push it or pull it or anything like that. The machine will do a nice job of just kind of taking it nice and straight. Okay. You don't ever want to lift the presser foot up as you're sewing, because if you do, your fabric can move out of place, and then you're going to kind of have like a zigzag seam. So you just want to keep going straight. Okay. So again, we're going to start off slow. As you get more experience, you might be able to go a little bit faster, but it's never a race. Consistency is definitely key. And then when you get close to the edge of that fabric, okay, get nice and close, I'm going to hold down that back stitch button. I usually do it for like 4 to 5 stitches. It's like a 1/2 inch. And then I let go. I'm going to lift my presser foot up. I'm going to pull my fabric toward me or to the side, okay, and I'm going to clip off the threads.